Is the felon about to have a really bad week? Let's look into that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for liking, watching, commenting on the videos, sharing the videos, promoting the channel on your own social media platforms. It's all greatly, greatly appreciated. If you've donated money to the channel through the Super Thanks, Buy Me a Coffee, Venmo, huge, huge thank you. It's very much appreciated. I am running a Patreon class. I've announced this before. Wednesday night, I guess, or Thursday at midnight, or however you want to phrase it. I'm going to close that class for new people. So if you want to join, make sure you join by Wednesday evening. All right, and I'll leave the link to the Patreon thing in the description of the video. Okay, so when I was scrying this morning, it's very clear that the images I kept seeing was just the felon in this very frustrated um, pose, very, angry, um, mad, being verbally taunting. And then I kept being shown pictures of Epstein. So I don't like to talk about Epstein, but it's in the news. So I do think we're going to get more Epstein revelations. And I do think that the public is going to start confronting their representatives about Epstein. I think we're also going to get some bad trade news, or the felon's going to get bad trade news, I should say. And the there's going to be more rumors of people leaving his administration. So let's kind of just take these one by one. We'll group the Epstein questions together. So um, I could very clearly see Mark Carney and EU leaders getting together to talk about how they can lessen their exposure to the US rather than dealing with trades or Trump or the felon's erratic trade ideas. I mean, he keeps changing the goalposts. Now, the Canada 35% tariff isn't exactly as bad as it might seem at first, according to the Treasury Secretary. That doesn't apply to any of the goods that would be covered under the NAFTA agreement, which covers most things, but it's still not good. And showing countries you're erratic and crazy certainly isn't going to make them want to negotiate with you. So, because who's to say that that negotiation, like if they agree upon a negotiation, how do they know that the felon's going to keep to it? So, what can you show us about these trade agreements? Show us about these trade agreements. Yeah, I mean, people just see him as being immature, and it's like in order for them to work, they feel like they have to walk on a tightrope, read a book, carry balloons, and have birds flying around their head and not slip. And that's the only way that they're going to get a deal. And at this point, they're not even sure that that's enough. The immaturity of the felon has really just made them think that it's best to go a different route. There are things going behind the scenes that we can't see. Um, I think BRICS will get strengthened. I think uh, Canada and the EU will strike a really good deal for them, along with the UK and Australia. I think it's just a matter of time before the US is just left out completely. And we get stability. This is a way of actually bringing stability to the world markets, oddly enough. It just hurts the United States. So, you know, but, Canada's prerogative isn't to help the United States. So it makes a lot of sense. I think we'll get a lot of revelations about how they were negotiating in good faith. in the beginning, and then I think we'll get some revelations that they're actually negotiating with each other and leaving the United States out of it. At the center of the reading is the Five of Pentacles, poverty, being left out in the cold. This is the US. The US is just going to be left out in the cold. They really don't see any reason to negotiate with the felon because he can't keep his word on the most basic things, and he lies about the most stupid things. He has no idea who's in charge, where he's at. Um, his cognitive issues just keep getting worse. And, they need to make sure that they can balance the scales as best as they can for their own countries. And I think that's why justice is appearing in the environment around. Um, it's like if they make a choice, it's like doubtful that the choice will hold. So they're not really willing to put much effort into a trade deal because they don't think the felon will follow through with it anyhow. We get juggling money and overseas influence in the environment around. This is just kind of confirmation that we're reading on the right topic. And the last card is families, reunions, and celebrations. So the rest of the world sees the felon as immature and his demands as being erratic and uh, untenable. And they're willing to cut off the United States to the biggest extent that they can. And they're going to be focused on their own citizenry, and rightfully so. Uh, doesn't matter if they sign an agreement, they don't think that it'll hold. They think that the felon will come up with something new. And so therefore they're willing to go it alone. And their hope is that this stabilizes the world economy. Maybe not the United States economy, but the world economy. There's a lot of talk behind the scenes, behind the back of the felon in particular. I think we'll discover that they've been negotiating amongst themselves. And I think we'll also discover that they actually were negotiating in good faith with the felon. He's just crazy. And it's all about keeping things in balance, making sure that goods get in and out of their countries in a way where it's most affordable to their citizens and most profitable to their companies. And so at the end of the day, it's all about um, foreign money and influence and trading with foreign countries. And I have a feeling the United States really gets left out in the cold on that. Mainly because, the felon's got dementia and just can't be trusted. And they want security. They're not going to negotiate while he's here. That's just the way it is. They're just not going to step up to the plate. They're very much willing to negotiate with Democrats in the future. So I think watch for that. I think it'll shake the markets a little bit. I don't think it'll shake them too much because, the markets unfortunately just care about their tax cuts. So, okay. Will there be more rumors of people leaving? More rumors about people asking for Bondi to be fired, more demands about that. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying anybody's going to leave. I'm just going to say there's going to be more rumors, more distractions. Like Don Bogino, he possibly could leave or get fired. Um, but I think the lifestyle is something that he actually likes, so I don't think he will. For selfish reasons, I don't think he'll leave. Unless he was told to leave. All right, so will there be more rumors of people leaving? we get the Four of Wands, the people being pleased, the voters being pleased. So possibly uh, we get things having to balance out. Things are very imbalanced in the government. So justice is about balancing those out. Also could be an indication that it does involve somebody in the DOJ, like Bondi or Bagino. Um, we get death and rebirth, the end of a cycle, the beginning of something new. Maybe somebody does leave. Uh, we get the Page of Pentacles, something coming forward about money or things of value. Now, if the moral outrage is legitimate, and I do think it's legitimate amongst the people, then perhaps there's a calling for that. There's a lot of fighting inside the government right now. People don't know what to do. People are mad at the attorney general. They're mad at the FBI director. They think all of this was just horribly handled. And in particular, I think the felon's mad at all of them. We get complete and utter downfall, the end of a cycle, another kind of death representation over here. We get the card for dementia again. Circles of support around money, the Three of Pentacles, and then this immaturity. Well, it's just like this is about the felon. It's like the voters want what the voters want, and it's not unreasonable, such as like, just tell us what you know about the Epstein stuff. Just tell us what you know. This is leading to a lot of fighting and a lot of immature type of bickering. The felon's dementia is not making it any easier, and the fighting ends up with the end of a cycle. So perhaps somebody does leave. Um, we get justice and complete and utter downfall. Nobody trusts the justice system anymore. That I think has already started to happen in the sense of like the large scale version of the justice system, not individual trials or anything like that, but the large scale version of justice people don't trust. They see the people, being taken without due process. And we get messages coming forward about money and the people that support them. So, it might be that we start to understand a little bit more on why these people are in the positions that they're in because of money. Um, but, the felon still has a lot of strength. A lot of these people are acting in isolation and out of fear of the felon because of the way he abuses power and abuses people with the Emperor card. But we get the courts, the church, the Pope, our higher selves as well. So I think a lot of people are going to ask themselves the question, do they want to be associated with this? Um, which is a little ironic that they didn't ask this question before he um, came to be. So, okay. Will there be more on Epstein coming out? Will there be more on Epstein coming out? We get the Temperance Angels. That makes me think so. Be more coming out on Epstein. I think Michael Wolff might actually release some stuff. I think there'll be a lot of leaked stuff online, whether it's accurate and what it is. Is it really from DOJ? I think that's another question. We do need to be careful, Mercury in retrograde on the 17th. A lot of the stuff we hear might not be true. So don't believe every story. Yeah, it's a crossroads moment for the people that know things. It's like if you're going to release it, this would be the time to do it while it's got some traction. Kind of, kick the person while they're down, so to speak. Trump's or the felon's ill health and the public, vast disapproval of him. It's like this is the time to do it. It also does feel like this is slightly a distraction from the budget bill and the Wheel of Fortune. There's a lot of anxiety in MAGA world that he's implicated far deeper than they thought. Um, they feel pretty sick about it. They're kind of like, ugh, like why couldn't they just release the report? And now they're asking the question, well, why couldn't they just release a report? And I think we all know the answer to that. Wouldn't be surprised if Musk gets involved here, or at least using of the platform Twitter or X or whatever he calls it. They're holding on to some really juicy, that's the wrong word. They're holding on to a lot of salacious details and waiting for the right moment. And by they, I think it's more than one person. I think Michael Wolff is probably the biggest person, but it's more than just that. He's made sure everything's backed up, by the way, if anything were to happen to him. And we get some messages coming forward with the Knight of Pentacles. It's going to be a slow drip, though. It's not going to be all at once. And the truth does eventually come out. So we're very much in this crossroads type energy. MAGA world is over it. They just want the report released and they're asking themselves, why not? They just want the truth, as does everybody else. The people that hold some of the information are holding it very close because they're probably trying to get money, to be honest with you. And, people are kind of over that as well. And it's like, let's just spin the wheel and see, does it go against the felon or for the felon? And I think it goes against him. We got ill health and anxiety along with messages coming forward. And then we have Elon Musk and Twitter with the magician. So I think there'll be more Epstein stuff. It'll be fiery. It'll gain attention. It might take a while for it all to come out, but when it all does come out, it'll be about the trafficking, the chariot, and other activities of travel logs back and forth. Potentially could lead to threats of confinement and put people in a position to defend oneself. And then we get the death card. And the saga starts to get cleaned up. So yeah, I think we're gonna hear more. Okay, the other thing that I saw when I was scrying was people confronting their congressmen and women, senators at town hall meetings over Epstein. Not just the budget bill, but why don't we have the Epstein files? We've all heard the clips. They said they were going to release them. JD Vance said it's one of the most important things we need to do. And now all of a sudden they're pretending there's no information. People just aren't that dumb. Even MAGA's not that dumb. So will people start confronting Congress to get involved? This is something I do think Congress could step over the line and in the House and actually start investigating, or in the Senate, or at least form some ad hoc committees. People start confronting their representatives about Epstein. Yeah. There's so much to yell at our representatives about, but this is an easy to understand thing. We get the Hierophant, the church, the Pope, the courts, morality, if you wish. There'll be a lot of phrases like, why are you defending so and so? Why are you defending a known fill in the blank? The circles of support around money around the representatives is collapsing, and we're heading into a midterm election for a lot of them. They're not fundraising the way they should be. The greedy merchant in the upper right, this group of really rich people that want to keep their names quiet, juggling money, especially around this overseas travel, trying to keep that hidden. It almost becomes untenable at some point. The seeds have been planted in MAGA world and non-MAGA world as well that this was supposed to come out, and now it's not coming out. And it's like, well, why not? And the only conclusion one can conclude is that there's something bad about the felon in there. There really is no other conclusion. The bombshells and surprises, this worries me a little bit. The imagery I'm drawn to is swimming with the fishes, that reference. Um, I do worry about people's personal safety that are involved here, that know things, I should say. The Queen of Pentacles and the Star card of protection in the environment around. And we get the immaturity again with the Page of Swords, but also a saboteur. Like it might come out like in a leaky way. So, we have the courts, the ideas have been planted. Why isn't this coming out? And there might just be a spy in the camp that lets it out. Like just releases everything that they can find. It won't be all, but it'll be enough to spark more interest. We get the Queen of Pentacles stability around the issue. People are wondering why it hasn't come out and who are the rich people involved and does it include the felon? And this is people that voted for him. This is how it starts to all unwind. Uh, their circles of support have deteriorated. They're seen as just juggling and doing the word salad routine around like the travel logs and all that stuff that we know exist. I mean, we know they exist. We get bombshells and surprises in this idea of swimming with the fishes. Um, that makes me concerned, to be honest with you. And then we get protection, and I think that's protection for the people. It'll come, and once it starts to come, it'll start to come faster and faster. It'll be surprising, and people will pass pretty harsh judgment about it. So I think the felon is in for a very bad week. And some of this will extend into the rest of the week until the end of the month as well. So, but we'll take a look at all of that as we go. So, thank you for watching. I'll be back with another video soon.